Recently, my student Nico bought an off-market investment property that should earn him over $100,000 in profit. And he found the deal with just 6 simple postcards. This episode is a real-world case study of what's working right now to find deals in a tough market. So if you're struggling to find good investment properties, you're going to love the details of this episode. Real quick, if you want to learn the exact deal finding system that helped Nico to land the deal we talk about in this episode, I'm teaching a free masterclass next week called How to Find Your Next Real Estate Deal in 90 Days. It's happening on Wednesday, April 2nd, and I'd love to have you join us. You can grab your free seat at coachcarson.com/masterclass. I'll have a link above me on YouTube, or you can click on it in the podcast and the YouTube description below. All right, let's jump into Nico's story.
I had a couple little birdies were like, did you know Nico's got another deal under contract? I'm like, really? I gotta talk to him about this. Let's find it because I feel like you had the house hack you bought, you and Jessica, back in what month was that? November. Okay.
Yeah, November last year. Yep.
And then you sold one of your flips recently, a couple weeks ago. So that was another deal you got going on. And then this next one is you've got another one under contract, another flip. So could you tell me just kind of maybe the context of the story behind it?
Yeah, it's funny. It kind of all happened really quick. I'll try and make this long story short. Yeah, I've been sending out mailers with Deal Machine, and I know you advocate for Deal Machine, and they've been pretty great. So I got Deal Machine, I'm gonna say a little over a year ago. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not using it as much as I should, and I'm gonna be actually meeting with Matt next week to actually tomorrow to kind of go over how I can best implement it. But I was doing driving for dollars. I mean, I've been taught to do that as an agent. I've been taught to do that as an investor here locally. And anytime I see one, I just, pull out my app and take a picture of it. And, it's really easy the way they have it set up. So this lead, I've been driving by for years, to be honest. And it looked vacant. It looked pretty trashy, and it's what do you call it? The ugly home in the nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
So I added it to my list, and this was May 2024. So last year, when I actually added it to my list, I tried calling. I want to say one or two, not as much as I probably should have, at least 3 or 4 times to get a hold of the seller. He was not out of state, out of like on the Eastern Shore, so about 3 hours away. Anyway, I wasn't able to get him on the phone, so I didn't really think much of it. Set up a mail sequence, and I'm sure we could talk about what that looks like.
Yeah.
With Deal Machine, but really just kind of set it and forget it. And it's been going on since May last year. I actually just looked it up before our call, and it was 6 mailers. So I've sent out 6 since then. I think I had it like every other month or 60 days or something like that. Finally, what was it, 2 weeks ago on a Monday, this gentleman called me and just said, hey, I got your, postcard, I'm thinking of selling. And I've gotten a few of these calls before. I haven't actually got anything under contract. So this was just a great, lead, because I knew exactly where the house was. As soon as he told me the address, I was like, okay. And you can stop me anytime. I know I'm rambling, but
this is good. I was going to ask you, did it go directly to your cell phone, or did you set up like a separate kind of call Google Voice or something?
So I have 2 phones. One is my personal one, and one is for work. So I use it as my work number. So that's where I get my real estate leads. It's where I get my my actual clients. So I have it sent to that number. So yeah, I didn't know who it was, and I always pick up my phone. And I know you mentioned before, you're like, if I don't recognize the number, I don't answer. I have to be the opposite, because it could be a lead or a client.
You're in sales. You got to pick up. No, like
exactly.
When I'm in sales mode, it's like answer the phone, man. Answer the phone.
Yeah, and you'll be amazed at how many agents don't answer their phone. It's so frustrating. But that's a whole nother topic. But anyway, he called me and just said, hey, I planning on being there later today. This was, I want to say 2.5 weeks ago. And he said, I plan on going. And I said, okay, I'll meet you there. He said, I'm meeting with another investor as well, and just wanted to, see what we can do. And I made sure that I would be there. Like I didn't push it to another day. He's coming from, 3 hours away. So I wanted to make sure I was there. And when I got there, the home needed a ton of work. What I expected. I actually toured it with Jessica because I was with her that day, and I was like, hey, this opportunity is coming. We got to go check it out. So it's pretty funny to see her, walk through these properties, and it's nothing that I'm, shy of. But I guess she hasn't really seen the roof needed work. I think there was a hole in the roof, spray paint inside. I guess somebody broke in while it was vacant, and just a real dump. And me, I'm thinking opportunity, and I'm really trying to get an idea of what, one, timeline, and two, what price he's really looking for. So I'm trying to build rapport when I'm in there with him, just chatting about, when did he buy the home? How long has it been vacant? Things like that, little things like that. And I've just done that from sales for a long time. And then I was able to kind of pull out, he mentioned he was behind on some payments. So he's really just looking to sell this property. He got another person that said they'll give him 335, I believe. He was looking more to like 370, just eyeballing it. And I didn't want to put a quote on it because my dad is really the expert on what he thinks rehab costs are, but just eyeballing it, I think if we got it for around 350, it'd be a good price because the ARV is closer to like 615, 620, I would say. Like I said, full rehab, it'll need everything.
What was your guess on the rehab cost?
Yeah, I was thinking anywhere from 120 to 150 rehab. So that would give us a good cushion with resale costs and things like that.
So just like rough numbers, if you put 150 in it, you had 350 purchase price, you'd be in it for 500K before holding costs and closing costs and stuff like that. But then you'd have, if you turned around and sold it for 620, maybe you'd clear after costs and everything 80 to 100 grand, somewhere in there, you think?
Exactly. Yep. And that's what we're estimating,
Yeah.
Coach.
Okay.
So,
Got it.
yeah, that was the initial conversation, and I told him I'd get back to him. I actually toured the property a couple days later with my dad just to, get an idea, and he kind of confirmed my numbers based off of what he saw. And then that day, the seller actually told me the timeline, and this is why this is kind of a funny story and why this kind of moved so quickly. Is he was in foreclosure. He had an auction date that was scheduled for the 12th of this month. If we didn't pay what I think it ended up being like 52K to stop the auction last Tuesday, then he would have lost the house essentially. So he told me that on the Friday before that. And of course, I'm like, oh shoot, like, it's a Friday. I have a good relationship with a title attorney, but I'm like, this is going to be a really, really, really quick turnaround. And long story short, I sent him, we agreed on a price. I ended up going for 350, but I talked to my title attorney to say, hey, this is the situation. He's telling me by Tuesday, he showed me all the paperwork as well, that, if this 52K is not paid in time, then, his shit's out of luck kind of thing. And I told him the situation. So I had a title attorney kind of really expedite his title search. And then that Tuesday, we were actually going against the clock. I met with the seller and the title attorney in his office to kind of go over everything. He did a like a title search, an expedited title search on the property to make sure, how much he owed on the property. The guy was actually also in bankruptcy. So we want to make sure that it was, a clean title before we actually close on the property. Hence why we're still not closed. We're working with the foreclosure company, the bankruptcy attorney. And then anyway, we were able to agree on a price, and we were able to stop the foreclosure on Tuesday, and now we're under contract for the
Got
property.
it. Did y'all have to send the 50,000 to his bank or to his lender, or did they disagree because you had a contract to delay it? How did they do that?
Great question. And this is something that I wasn't hesitant, but I wanted to make sure we were doing this correctly. And this is why whoever's going to be watching this, and I'm sure this is recorded, make sure you're doing it correctly, because that's what I was worried about, is if we paid it, he could just walk away or something. And so anyway, my title attorney did a search, and he owned another property free and clear on the Eastern Shore, and we used that kind of as like a collateral. So we put a lien on that property. I forget the actual term, but there was, based on the timeline, he agreed to say, hey, I'm going to go with the sale, but in order to, protect you and make you feel comfortable, this payment will put it against my free and clear house.
Smart. That's very smart. Yeah, because if you had not had that other piece of collateral, putting $50,000 is a risk, because if he doesn't show up for closing, you'd have to go sue him to make him to come to closing, and he could run off with your 50K, and it could be years or in court maybe to deal with that, right?
100%, coach. And that is still a risk that we still have. Keeping it 100% real, that is a risk. And it's something that I had to talk to my partners about to see if that's, something we're willing to do. But that instrument, that lien is something to kind of protect you so that, if you didn't have that, you're kind of out of luck. So we all kind of came in the same room and we all agreed on that to stop that. And now the title attorney is working with the foreclosure and the bankruptcy to kind of get the final payoffs before we actually get to closing. But the neat story about this, and why I'm happy you kind of asked me to do this, is because it ended up being a win-win. I mean, the seller was literally about to lose his home. And I don't know if he actually really knew the severity of it. So, when we were talking to the title attorney, he was like, Nico really just saved your ass. Like you really could have, lost your property. So, he's happy that this property apparently has been a burden for him for quite some time. He lives 3.5 hours away, so he really wasn't able to upkeep the property. I also have built a pretty good rapport with him. I've been talking to him and letting him know, hey, I'll help you, empty out some things. He's been going back and forth with the van trying to empty out some things. I said, hey, I'll come with a crew and we can, because for me, time is money. If it's in there after we close, it's the same thing, really. So I told him, hey, I was actually supposed to meet him today, but he hasn't answered my call. But he's happy. I think I built a good rapport with him, and we're, looking forward to closing and getting this next project. But yeah, the timeline was crazy because this isn't something that I've done before.
Yep.
And I wanted to make sure I leverage people that have had this experience, and I have to give a big shout out to my title attorney over here.
That shows you the value of a closing attorney or title attorney who can move quickly, because some of the best deals, like this one, was like you had to move. How many days was that? I mean, I think it was like less than a week.
Yeah,
right?
so he called me on a Monday, and then I think it was a week. I mean, literally a week. We had to move to actually get this done, and it helps that I live like maybe 7 minutes away, so I'm not a big deal for me to get there. But yeah, the best deals are quick, I guess.
Yeah, well, congrats on. I mean, this is a cool story. Like you said, it's a win-win. Solved a problem. I'm gonna like almost like we're cooking a soup here. Like I'm gonna throw what are the ingredients that really stand out to me? Like number one, the way you found this opportunity was direct outreach to a seller using driving for dollars, which has always been my favorite way to find good deals. Is you just in your normal course of affairs driving around this property you'd seen for years or months, you put it on your list, you try to call, that didn't work, so you just keep following up, and every couple months you send by the way, what kind of mailers did you send to him?
Great question, because I can't remember what training I was on or something like that, but I created my own little template, and I think it was through the Deal Machine crash course that you did a couple months ago, and I tweaked it a little bit, which is pretty funny, because before I just had me or Garcia Brothers or something investments, and I got calls, but I didn't really get good hot leads. Anyway, I tweaked it to say, hi, this is Nico and Jessica. We're looking to purchase properties for our retirement plan. We'll offer a cash, and we really love this area, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that little tweak, I've gotten actually a few more calls. I think Anna and Brian actually mentioned it, that just change Nico to Jessica or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I see Joe's mentioned. Yeah, people love, especially women investors. So even that she's not per se answering the phone calls and things like that, actually having her show up on that first appointment was really important, because hey, my postcard says Nico and Jessica. Nico and Jessica actually show up. It's not just some wholesaler or things like that. So that actually, I think, helped a little bit.
That's cool. Okay, so you have a very more personal approach to your mailer, which is I use that too. But it was an actual postcard though. So on the front, did it have just like on one side it had your message, and the other side did it say anything else? Do you remember what that said?
I think Deal Machine actually gives you the the option to take a photo of the home. So if any of the homes that I'm driving for dollars and they look really crappy, I make sure I actually park the car and take a picture of it because a lot of these people, like, this guy probably didn't, I mean, he probably did know, but they don't know the condition of the home, like
Mhm.
how crappy it looks from the outside. So I made sure I snapped it, and that is on one of the sides, and then the other side is where I put the little personalized note and to
Got it.
call us.
Got it. So the recipe there, personal postcard, having a picture of the property, having you and Jessica on there, and then just being persistent. Like if you had given up on one postcard or two postcards or three, you had to send six postcards out. And the psychology that I always had a hard time figuring that out, but it's like, people are busy and they're not ready. Like so the first one, two, three, four, five, he was just like either he threw it away or he just like put it in his drawer or something. But just something clicked eventually where it just is the right time and right place because you were the one who kept doing it, you got the
Yeah.
call, right?
And I exactly, and I love the fact that these apps allow you to kind of set it and forget it. Like if it was up to me and I literally have to press a button every time to do that, like I
Yeah.
this deal wouldn't come. So I set up a mail sequence, and I think it ends up being around 9 different postcards that I've been sending out mailers to for the Driving for Dollars. And just like you, Chad, I really love that list because nobody else has that list, and I mean, me as an agent, I'm driving around all the time. So if I see a property, I mean, I park the car. Jess probably gets annoyed because I'm like, all right, well, we gotta put
We're
this
good.
on the list. So that, I mean, the consistency. So sometimes 8 touches or 6 touches in this case, then they'll call you whenever they're ready. And what I like, and I don't want to cut you off, Coach, but what I like is a lot of these sellers are like, baby boomers or people that are a little bit older. And they still use postcards. I mean, people my age, we if we get a postcard, it's trash. But the sellers that are, that have these properties, most likely, especially free and clear properties, are a little bit older, and I had another person just call me a couple days ago, and she was very old. She might have been 90 years old because she couldn't really hear me, and she was like, "Take me off your list." But anyway, they're actually, the ones that are, receiving these postcards.
Yeah. And I think in the day when everybody's on social media, even the younger people, if you're on social media, if you're on email all the time, getting a physical mailer stands out more today than it used to because everybody's so busy with digital, right? So
Yeah,
there's just something interesting. So really cool on how you did that. I think the last question that might be a puzzle piece that people just wonder about, just out of curiosity, is that now that you have it under contract and you're having to close quickly on this, like what's your financing plan to actually come up with the
yeah.
money to buy it and then fix it up? Because that's a lot of money as well. To even though you're going to make money on the back end, that's a lot of money to come up with.
Definitely one of the questions that I get all the time. And I've been blessed to get a relationship with a private money lender that really trusts me and my dad and our team. So we've used him on our last 3 deals. So this fix and flip and a bird deal that we did. I think once you show like proof of concept, you at least on the bird deal when we did that, and we actually gave him what we said we would at the timeline, roughly what we said we would, then he was like, all right, I'm ready for the next one. So it's funny because once we closed on that fix and flip mid-February, I've also been keeping him updated. Hey, we got under contract. Hey, the financing took a little bit longer. Hey, we're scheduled to close February, I think it was 14th. It closed, but I'm waiting for the bank to clear. When I finally gave him the check back with, I think he ended up getting like 15K on his money, which he was ecstatic about. He was like, "I'm ready for the next one," and uh, he even told me he's willing to go to like double the amount. Which you want to make sure you're obviously getting good deals. But the funny part about this, coach, is this house is a block away from my private money lender's house. So
Whoa.
I don't know how this happened in coincidence or whatever. He was like, "Oh my God!" Like I was telling him about this deal and how it's kind of going pretty quick, and how he was in foreclosure. But anyway, I was telling him about where the property is. He was like, "Oh my God, Nico, I walk by that house almost every day, and we call that the haunted house because it's." So I don't know. It's kind of like good timing at the right time. But yeah, having he's an ex-pilot, retired, has money in the bank that he loves real estate, but doesn't, want to actively invest. He wants to passively invest. So using him as a tool has been really helpful for our last couple deals.
Very cool. What a cool partnership. Yeah, that works out really well. And if you don't mind talking about it, like, what's a typical interest rate? Just so people understand, like, what it means to borrow private money, and just what the range is, or what it looks like
Yeah.
typically.
Yeah, so we borrow at 13% annually. And I know whoever's hearing this might say, hey, that's, a little high or things like that. But it's one of the benefits about this partnership with this private money lender is he is very hands off. He's like, all right, let me know when you need money. I'm not saying if you're on the other side as a private money lender, I wouldn't, I guess, say you need to do that. But he's like, all right, like we'll do draws. He's not coming and actually checking on the work. It's a lot of trust built.
Yeah.
So, he gives us the money for construction. Like this last fix and flip deal, we had no money in it. It was all funded from him on the purchase and the rehab. So we need
Mhm.
to make sure that our numbers are correct when we're actually going under contract. But yeah, so 13% annually. We like to get our projects done within 3 to 6 months. So it's all hands on deck. And the good thing is, my dad is the contractor. I'm project manager, so I'm there all the time, making sure that we're staying on track and on budget.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, this is cool. There's so many other questions I would ask, but I think this kind of gives us a picture of kind of before and after, how you started, how the deal came together, how you negotiated it. Now you're getting ready pretty soon to close it, and then there'll be an after story where you fix this thing up and turn it into a beautiful property and sell it. So just want to say congrats. I'm proud of what you're doing. This is really, I feel like you got some acceleration going on right now, Nico. Like you got some seeds you planted over the last couple of years seem to be blossoming. You're doing good work.
Yeah, thank you, Coach. I mean, obviously, I owe a lot to you and to the community. I mean, this is and then also what is it? Seasonality of real estate. So, it was a slower winter, not only as the investing side, but on the agent side. So, I'm hoping things start picking up this couple months. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, the experience that I'm learning, just hands on, but also from people in this community have been very helpful for me actually analyzing deals and being comfortable with these type of projects because my dad's he knows how to do the construction, but I need to make sure that I'm factoring holding costs, I'm factoring resale costs because he's not the best at that. I need to make sure we're keeping on. So being able to find deals is very very important. So and then obviously partnering with people. I saw Joe mention if I'm looking for more private money partners. If there's another deal, I'll keep everyone in mind. I'm always looking for private money partners. So
Yeah, you are, people know you and they start trusting you and they're like, all right, yeah, let me do the next deal with you. You get a little small community of people who want to keep doing deals. I have no doubt that you'll keep getting more money coming to you for sure. So
yeah. And
yeah,
last thing I wanted to share is sharing your story. I mean, I've been as on social media, and we do this podcast, so we talk about our stories of real estate, and people know what you're up to and what you do. That's that starts conversations, and maybe you can even get leads that way. Continuously doing that, it's a little uncomfortable at first. So anybody who wants to chat about that's like, hey, how do you even start? It took me a while, and trust me. So
yeah.
that's definitely been helpful.
Well, depending on where I know we're going to be sharing this with the RPM community, but if we do share it outside of there, and I get your permission to do that, let people know where they can connect with you, because I know I love your podcast. You have the Agents Invest podcast, right? Is
Yeah,
one,
the
and
agent
I'm
to investor. Yep.
Agent to Invest podcast. I'll put a link to that and all the descriptions we're talking about here. Anywhere else anybody would follow you, like social media? Where do you connect online? That way they can
Yep.
stay in touch with you.
Yep, you can reach out to me, Nico Garcia, Nico Garcia, and then N Garcia official on Instagram and TikTok and all that. I like to think I'm most active on Instagram. So yeah, I mean anybody who's looking to get into real estate, and especially anybody in the RPM community, please reach out to me. I made it a goal to meet everybody in RPM because I've been doing little one-on-ones and people have such unique backgrounds and experiences that we never know what we can learn from one another. So that's been super, super cool to meet everyone.
Well, thank you. You're an amazing member. If we have as many people like you in the member community, we're going to keep rocking. We're going to do a lot of good stuff. So thank you for what you're doing, and this has been fun. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Nico.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Nico. He's such a great example of how you can take action and get results as an investor, even in a competitive market. And if you want to learn more about the deal finding system that Nico used, don't forget to join me for my free masterclass next week called How to Find Your Next Real Estate Deal in 90 Days. I'll break down how to build an off-market deal funnel like the one Nico used and how you can apply it in your own market. Save your free seat at coachcarson.com/masterclass. Or you can click on the link above me here on YouTube or in the podcast or YouTube description below. And if you're listening after the masterclass is over, you can join Nico and me in my private community called Rental Property Mastery, which includes all of my training and courses on deal finding and more. Just visit coachcarson.com/RPM. Thanks as always for listening. I'll see you in the next episode.